What's up, Indiana? This is Coach Hull, your Olympic Developmental Director for the ISWA and coach here at Legends of Gold. We had a great folk style season that's gone the first half of the year. Now we're going into the freestyle and Greco season. This is arguably the most efficient and effective time to get better at wrestling. People that are really good, the best of the best, they don't wrestle freestyle because they're good. They wrestle in these Olympic styles to be good. What we're going to do here at the ISWA is equip the state, particularly our regional training centers, with some tools to go over some of these high quality fundamental habits, skills, techniques needed to be more successful at the higher levels. So over the course of the next 9-10 weeks, we got some exciting things that we're going to show you. Nothing major, nothing fancy, just some basic stuff that's going to help get us in the right direction. And we're going to apply that to our wrestling and go from there. All right, let's go. Before we get into all the super cool things as far as the XJ9000, backflip, suplex, all the cool stuff that we want to know, we cannot really get into any advanced moves until we have the basic fundamentals first. And that's the cool part about freestyling and Greco as well, is because it emphasizes the fundamental habits that are needed. Oftentimes when we get beat, it's not because we don't know an advanced move, it's because of some small detail is wrong. And so that's what we're going to cover right now. So we've got the 8 steps to being a monster on our feet, neutral in freestyle. First is our stance. We got to make sure our stance is right. Second is motion. All right. Third is setup. Fourth is level change. Fifth is penetrate. 6 is attack on contact or perfect position. 7 is finish, and then 8 is transitioning right to turns. Now, doesn't sound like much, but I can guarantee that if you are, as a coach or a wrestler or a fan, if you go back and watch some of your better matches or even your losses, you will see how something in these 8 steps are off. All right, and that's what caused us to be in bad position. That's why we couldn't take that shot. That's why we weren't able to score, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right? So, first step is going to be our stance. Now, with our stance, we're talking about 3 primary things. First, super important, is our head, our hands, and our feet. All right? Now, right now, I'm in a square stance. All right? If you have an old school trophy that an uncle or a dad or somebody had, and you see this guy on the top of the trophy, believe it or not, this is actually one of the best stance, if not the best stance that you could possibly have, believe it or not. So, one, I need to make sure that my feet are in position. If I'm here in a square stance, that's fine, okay? But in order for me to actually take a shot, I'm going to have to align my feet up. Before I can change levels, I have to align my feet. All right, so if I'm in this square stance, I'm typically waiting on something to happen. All right, so having my lead leg right under my chest, my toes should be pointed right down the center of my opponent. This is where I want to be. Oftentimes you'll see a lot of people on that back foot right there, because a lot of people you'll hear coaches talk about keeping forward pressure, and that's right. The problem is that when we're wrestling the highest quality people, they're putting pressure on us. So this foot is not going to be able to stand up to the pressure that we're going to be getting. So I need my foot strong in that mat, particularly with my heel. All right, so my feet need to be good and wide. My weight needs to be forward. All right, right now my weight's backwards. And if I'm wrestling neutral and I'm not touching anybody, this is fine. But when somebody puts pressure on me, I'm going back, and it's hard to offend going backwards. All right, so I want my weight forward, arms are loose, and my hands are in position. My head is straight up, not cocked. And so right now, if we were to step on the line and you're wrestling this guy, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm about to eat. Because I don't look like I'm ready. Right? My hands are not ready. My head's cocked. Let's say maybe even my feet are loose. Yeah, this guy does not look like he's the one, all right, or she's the one. But as I get in position and I get my hands in position, now I look the part. because my hands are ready, my head is straight up, and my feet are in position. You'll see people wrestling here or here or here. And the time it takes for a shot to happen is a blink of an eye. So the time it takes for my hands to go from here to here, it's already too late. Same with this, all right? And if my head is cocked while I'm wrestling, all right, my body goes where my head goes. So if my head's cocked this way, I get clubbed this way, the rest of my body's going down this way. So it's important that my head is straight, my shoulders are square, my hands are up out in front of me ready to go. Discipline all the way to my fingertips. If I'm from the side, they're here. You'll see some people being here, and I get it, my elbows are tight, I'm not reaching, but what's exposed is my head. So now somebody makes contact with my head, my hands have to react. Now I'm reacting, and I'm wrestling somebody else's match. I want to be the actor. I want to initiate. So my hands are up and ready, all right? Right now, if me and you are wrestling, you don't see this shot. What you see are my hands. You have to account for these. Not so much. Not so much. Not so much. Here, they're ready to go. All right? So the first part of any of this training, freestyle, folk style, Greco, my head has to be in position, my hands have to be in position, and my feet need to be in position. Now we can start the match. The other reason why it's important with our feet to know where we're at, because when we're wrestling freestyle and Greco, we want to control the center of the mat. All right, we want our butt to the center. We want to be facing the out of bounds line, wherever we're at, because we want to control the center. If somebody starts pressuring us backwards, partially it's because of our feet. If I'm going backwards like this, I'm going to keep going backwards because I'm starting with my lead leg going backwards. Now, on the other hand, if I'm going backwards and my back foot is strong, again, notice I'm using my heel. This is not going to stop a lot of pressure. This wobbles, this has give. This has about 2-3 inches of give. That's bad news. So I'm going backwards here. If it gets to the point where I'm getting pushed out of bounds, it's very hard to circle in a lead leg stance. Very hard to circle, easy for people to get cut out. So what I'm doing is I'm squaring up before I start circling. There's my 180, back to my lead leg. There's my 180, back to my lead leg. You all understand? So a drill that you can do is when you're getting pushed out, square up and circle. You can alternate which direction you go. But just make sure that you go back to your lead leg, because we want to make people pay for having the audacity for putting pressure on us anyway. We want to score. They sneeze, counter, all right? But we got to be in position. Our feet have to be set, all right? So keep that in mind too. So we've talked about stance, we've talked about motion. Now we're going to talk about setups. And this is when your system comes into play, all right? There are a lot of different setups. Right now, we're just going to talk about 2 simple setups, which are fakes and snaps. Between those two, right, like you can do whatever you need. But let's just talk about our fake and let's just talk about our snap. Let's talk about our fake first. So on my fake is I'm essentially faking shooting. So my fake needs to resemble my shot, right? If I'm used to taking a front step level change and shooting a double, and my fake is like this, they're not really going to believe you, okay? They're not going to believe us. So our fake should imitate in some capacity our level change, which we'll get to next. So here's my front step level change, right? My butt's down, my attack hand is cocked, my head is up. Here's my front step level change. My weight is forward, back to my stance, all right? Usually the harder my chest hits my thigh, the more I'm selling it, all right? But also notice my head and my hands are out in front, because the perfect time to score The perfect time to counter is after a fake. So for those of us that hit a fake and my foot's too far out in front, that's easy pickings for somebody with world-class habits. So I want to make sure that my fake is out in front. Just in case they do take a shot, I can Pepsi, I can keep my head in position, I can create some distance, or I can counter, all right? Even if I take a back step, all right, my weight is still forward. I'm not taking a back step here where my weight shifts back. Even if I am taking a back step fake, my weight is still forward. You all understand that? So let's use our resident athlete, Caitlin Hernandez. Say what's up, Kate.
What's up, guys?
Okay. So anyway, if I'm faking from here, it's the same concept. I'm a right lead leg. Every time I change levels, my attack hand has to come down. So if I'm faking here. But notice my butt's dropped, my hand is cocked, but my head is locked up. I don't want to give my head position away for fakes. I want to fake here. This isn't good. All right, I want my head up. Also, this hand usually is here. Now, if I'm at a distance or if we're separate, yes, I can fake here. But if I'm hand fighting and I'm engaged in my tie and I want to fake, never give your head position up on a fake. Boom, here, back to my tie. You all got that? All right. So quarter turning. Okay, so watch my feet on this quarter turn / snap, because we're going to talk about these first. So when I'm snapping, all right, we have to make sure that I keep my head in position and move my feet correctly. Let's merge this snap and this quarter turn, all right, to get them to step hard. All right, on a quarter turn, I'm a right lead leg. Let's say I want to pull them around to my lead leg for a single leg. Head on the inside single. All right, I'm going to take this foot out. There's two ways we can do it. I'm going to take this foot out sideways, rotate on that toe, and land in my attack position. All right, so again, I'm going outside step, rotating on that back toe, but I'm going to land in this attack position. So now when they step, I can change levels and penetrate. Same thing if I'm in a left lead leg and I want to pull them here. I'm taking an outside step here, pulling down, down, and rotating on that toe, landing here. And notice my feet land flat at the same time. All right, a lot of problems when people have when they do this from a feet perspective is they'll go here but land in a square stance. Well, I'm not going to get too much penetration here. Or they'll go to quarter turn. This foot will land flat, but this one won't land flat either. That's pressure. That wobbles, not enough power. So make sure that my feet land flat, firm, because we're pulling pressure into us, okay? The other way that you can do this, because we have to learn not to do 100% of the work, if I'm doing 100% of the work, I am working really, really, really hard, okay? But if I learn, as we learn how to do 50% of the work, they're going to do most of the work for us. So if I'm wrestling somebody big, I may not have to like really eat them, okay? I can just jump to that position. But notice I'm jumping strong foot, all right? My foot is flat and strong, all right? So again, let's get Kate back out here. If I want to get Kate to step, so I'm hand fighting, I'm getting to my tie, bang, 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 all right? I want to pull down, keeping my head in position. So let's say my feet work, I get her to step, but I'm pulling up and I'm pulling my head out of position. This isn't where I want to be at. Yeah, my feet were correct, but my head came out of position and she's going to attack here. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping my head in position. All right. Now my feet are in position, my head's in position. I don't want to pull up because I'm going to invite somebody to shoot a, outside step, knee pull or something like that. Even pulling straight back, can be problematic. So I like to pull down. I like to pull that elbow right into my pocket. That doesn't feel good to them. I release, that shoulder pops up, easy money. So again, if I'm on this side and I want her to step, I'm going outside step, boom, pulling down here. My head's in position, it didn't move. I release, that shoulder pops up a little, there's my level change, and I'm going to get some money, okay? Also, when I was talking about jump into your position, let's say she's putting a lot of pressure on me, they're big and strong. I can also get them to step without having to use so much muscle. She's pushing, pushing, pushing. Just jump into that position. But again, my back foot has to be strong there. Now I can take whatever shot I need to take and score from there. But you can start seeing how my feet are super important, all right? My head is important. My hands are important. Even on my snaps, if I snap and I get them this, I want to set them up. If I take my head out of position, right? My head's out of position. She can just really just change her levels all the way, bottom out all the way, and score from there. All right, even though her hips were higher than her head. All right, so I have to make sure that when I'm snapping, I'm keeping my head in position as well. This is pressure here. Yes, she stepped, but my head's in position now. All right, she can't change levels and penetrate through this. She pops up. There's my money, and I'm going to get it, all right? So as you're working on these things, make sure your feet are in position, make sure you're faking correctly, make sure your head stays in position. These are very, very small details that I promise you that if you were to see yourself in practice, it's much harder to focus on than you think it is, all right? But we got to get it right, all right? So keep that in mind. All right, now we're starting to get to some of the fun stuff, all right? Now, when people, moms, dad, coaches, fans, everybody else, yell shoot. Shoot, Jimmy. Shoot, Margaret. All right, they mean change levels and penetrate. They don't mean dive, okay? And another reason why all the top D1 programs are at Fargo recruiting more so than, let's say, the ISWA folk style matches is because in freestyle, in particular, you have to be perfect, all right? And freestyle helps develop those perfect habits. So I can dive in folk style, shoot with my head down, hang out there, hang on this wrist, get called for stalemate because I can't really improve. All right, they let me back up, and there's nothing really stopping me from diving again, okay? It was just a stalemate, I can wait, all right, but we don't really learn. In freestyle, you shoot like an airplane that's landing, they expose your back because your hips are higher than your head, easy 2 points. So it's actually gonna cost you. So we have to learn how to penetrate like an airplane taking off instead of an airplane that's diving. All right, not just for finishing that first shot, but also transitioning to multiple shots. I cannot hit a 2-shot, 3-shot, 4-shot, 5-shot combo. I can't hit a good flurry to go get that point that I need if I shoot one time with my head down against a higher quality opponent. All right, so there's 3 things to keep in mind on a level change. 1, if I'm in my stance, my butt drops, my attack elbow rips to my loading position, and my head locks up. 3 things. Front step level change, boom, same concept. My butt is down, my head is up, my attack hand is loaded. And even notice my fingers are straight because the fastest way between 2 points is a straight line. My elbows come out, I change levels like this, well, that's an easy 4 for whoever, okay? So if I'm in my stance and I'm doing a front step level change, I'm looking here, all right? Some people will put here. If I'm tied up, same concept. Boom, front step level change. Butt's loaded, arms locked, heads up. Even if I'm doing a back step level change. Back step, my butt's down, my arms are loaded, my head's up. So if you look, and I don't necessarily know how I look in the camera, but I'm sure I look like I'm about to explode up versus down. Let's say I don't move my feet. Let's just say I bottom out. Same concept. My weight is forward. My butt's down, my head's up. So I can penetrate up. All right? And we'll get to that here pretty soon. This is a big part of freestyle. Okay? So let's use Caitlin again. All right, so let's say Caitlin takes, or let's say I'm wrestling Caitlin, I'm wrestling. I take a bad double. Don't move yet. I take a bad double. This is bad news. All right, if we were to go live here, most of us will try to finish from this position. All right, but if we go live, she's going to whizzer and sprawl. Ready? Boop. That's where we end up. This is not a good freestyle position. It's not a good wrestling position, okay? So instead of taking that bad shot, we want to learn how to penetrate like an airplane taking off. We want to shoot up instead of down. And you have to do this super slow because you can't do it fast unless you can do it slow. So a trick that I learned personally is when I change levels and my head's up, I want to look to where I'm going. I'm either looking my shot directly in her chest, or let's say if I'm shooting a double, my head's going right to the outside. So front step level change, boom, here. I'm penetrating up, boom, in that position. You all understand? All right. So regardless of what your level change is, make sure that your butt is low, my head is up, and my attack hand comes down. Front step level change, boom. That's also my fake. Back step, they're putting pressure on me, that's fine. Back step level change, boom. My weight is forward. Y'all got that? All right, so stance, motion, setup, level change. All right, so we talked about a little bit in that last segment about learning how to penetrate up, all right, like an airplane that's taking off. You can't do that if your previous step is bad, all right? If you don't change your levels, if you don't drop your chest, if I don't bring my attack hand down, if my head is off, then you're not going to have the correct penetration. So we need to learn how to penetrate up, all right? So if we're warming up, and you see this a lot, at your schools, you'll see this everywhere. And they say, okay, guys, let's hit our penetration steps. And this is what you'll see. Bless their hearts. That's not it, okay? Because if I slow this down, I go level change, I pull it in, boom, in this position, what comes up first? Ugh, my butt. My head never adjusts. My hips never come in, all right? And every rep that you do like that, you're actually getting further and further behind elite people, all right? When actuality, we want to penetrate up. So even though I'm changing levels and my chest is down on my thigh and my head's up, I want to penetrate up to perfect position. Okay, I want to penetrate up to perfect position, even if I'm hitting a sweep single. Now let's bring Nick out here. Nick Anderson. Say what's up, Nick. What's up? All right, so same concept. Let's say I'm hitting a sweep single. I get him to step, and I take this shot. And we say, wrestle live, ready, boop. That's what's going to happen. I don't even like doing that for the camera, okay? I want to shoot up. So, a trick in doing this, learning how to do it yourself, all right, is when I change levels, I want to look at their chest and penetrate up to their chest. Even on a sweep single, I want to penetrate up and rotate. I don't want to take my eye off of the center of their chest. If you notice, his torso went back because of my head position. All right? Again, I'm shooting a double leg. Boop, 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 bloop, post, penetrating up. Boom. Up to a double. All right? Not so much straightforward, definitely not down. All right? Even if I'm shooting low singles in that leg, I don't want to go down to that shot. Easy to score. I at least, even here, even if I'm going straight forward, my head is up. You all got it? All right, so while you're working on your drills, take your time, change levels all the way down. Just go ahead and get used to bottoming all the way out. Some of us may only be able to go down this much. Our bigger guys, we're just hitting snatches. All right, that's fine. There's still a level change in there. All right, just get used to going all the way down. Go slow. Pause there for a second so your muscles can memorize this. All right, fix everything. And then penetrating up. All right, we'll talk about perfect position and the magic of perfect position, and we'll keep it moving. All right. Okay, now, this is a huge part of being successful at folk style and freestyle, all right, is the concept of perfect position. All right, perfect position is my head is up, my back is straight, my hips are in, my outside legs at 90 degrees, 90-degree angles, 45 degrees. Your power zone is right here in your chest, right here in your chest. Butterfly grip, strongest grip in wrestling. Not this, not this. Extension's a loss of power, it gets broken. This, not so much. Butterfly grip, chest high, all right? Head up, back straight, hips in. Here's some other small details. My back toe is turned in. And when I'm driving, I want to drive to the far shoulder. Just like with normal power cleans, finishing, whoop, head up first and not my butt, okay? But that's what perfect position is. Head up, back straight, hips in. This is where I want to get to before I finish. Now, here's basically part of that concept. Knee slide, knee slide, knee slide, knee slide, knee slide. You'll hear coaches talk about knee slide, knee slide, knee slide. And that's great. That's part of it. That's so we can get our hips underneath us. I took a bad shot. I'm here. Extension's a loss of power. If I try to finish here, it's not going to be good. But even if my head is down, I can knee slide all day. That's not perfect position. Knee slide is only one part of perfect position. No different than how coaches say, Whizzer, stuff the head, stuff the head, stuff the head, because the body goes where the head goes. Equally, from an offensive standpoint, as coaches, we should be yelling, get your head up, get your head up, for that same reason. Because I can be in here, right? The first thing that should move is my head. And notice how I get my head up, how everything just naturally gets aligned, okay? So between head up, back straight, hips in, getting our feet in position, getting our butterfly grip, all that happens at the same time, okay? Because freestyle, again, we have to be perfect at freestyle. And funk only happens when the fundamentals aren't really there, okay? If I'm in on a bad shot and I'm wrestling somebody funky, right, because of all this space that I give them, they can hit something funky. But when you get into the habit, doesn't take anything special. It costs you an extra half a second, maybe a second, to get in perfect position. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to finish that shot. You eliminate all the funk that they were about to do, all right? So how this works is, okay, I'm in on a bad shot. Here, I'll let Nick do it. All right, Nick's in on a bad shot, bad double. Okay, he penetrates in on this shot. He took the shot, good for him. But again, as we show, if we try to finish from here, this is only going to get worse for him if he tries to chase this bad shot. Easy for me to get my legs back, get my hips in. All right. So let's say he's behind the knees. He's a little bit better. Hips are out, head still down, nothing major. All right. I go to whizzer and sprawl. Now his grip's closer to his chest area, as strong as he is. So I may not sprawl and he get completely stretched out off the bat, but it's still going to work him down. I can still work him down. Okay? But now, let's say he's in perfect position. Head up, back straight, hips in. Butterfly grip right under the butt. So now I go sprawl. Because he's focusing on keeping his head up, his back straight and hips in, he can control my entire body because he has control of my hips. All right? I'm in his power zone here. So now you start seeing the benefit of the knee slide. Why? Because his head is up. His back is straight. He's in his power zone, okay, with his grip. All right? So the trick is, and this is a huge, huge trick, all right? Huge necessity in freestyle, is don't rush to finish the shots, all right? Get to perfect position. Practice getting into perfect position. So again, instead of penetrating, taking this double, and then chasing it, I want to drive to perfect position. So the first thing that moves is your head. Your head, and I'm strictly talking about a double right now, but it works on all the other shots too. All right, my head is the first thing that I need to make sure is enforced. Up, then grip, foot, knee, hip. Now I can run, all right? But we're talking freestyle here. This is a fall. This is a fall. This is a fall. I'm controlling his hips. I got a butterfly grip. They're not being broken. Yeah, he's trying to get off of his back. Right, but because of how tight and secure I'm in there, he can't get off. That's a fall. A good old-fashioned double leg, feet to back double in the correct way will pin just as many kids as a headlock. All right? So, again, perfect position. Let's let Nick do it. He's hand fighting. He's going to set it up. He's going to take a shot. I'm going to give him a little bit of pressure, but instead of trying to chase that bad shot, he's going to get in a perfect position, right? So he sets it up, takes a shot. I'm sprawling. Did you see the first thing that moved was his head? Head goes up. All right, grip. Get your hips in. Check everything. All right, let's talk about a sweep single. Perfect position on a head on the inside single. So I take this shot. Boom, and we'll get to the specifics of how to really hit these shots really well. This is bad news. My head's down. I'm laced below the ankle. All right, this just isn't in good position. Okay, not against the best of the best. So rather than trying to finish, what most of us will do from here is go and then try to go up, something along those lines. No bueno. All right, bad shot, right? I want to fix it, all right? So my head's going up, grip, getting the perfect position before I finish. Now, right? Now I can finish up without any funk. If I'm in this position here, all right, the first thing that people do when they sprawl is take their foot back, and then their knee goes back, and then they drop their hip. All right? So if I try to finish from here, it's not good. But if I get to perfect position, this is particularly if he's trying to, or she is trying to pull me off, this is a completely different position to drive. All right, so perfect position only takes an extra second, okay? But head up, back straight, hips in. Let's talk about a head on the outside single. Head on the outside single. This is the shot that we normally take, maybe. Not good, especially in freestyle. Not good, okay? I need to go head up, whoop, grip, get to this position. I'm looking towards the far shoulder, okay? All of these positions are important. Now, what happens if we're wrestling somebody who gets the perfect position? How do we defend that? They're in on a, whatever you want to get into, let's say head on the outside single. He's in perfect position. His head is up, his back is straight, butterfly grip, I can't sprawl here, okay? I go whizzer, I try to stuff his head. I can't, actually me reaching over to stuff his head, he finishes. So I want to give him, I want to create some space here and redirect his head, all right? I'm looking to get his head in different position. So right now he's strong here. I go knee, hip, right, bump, create some space that realigns. Now I can sprawl from here and counter this shot. All right, how does he fix this? He just rotates, gets back up into perfect position. Okay. Do this. Spend that extra second before you finish your shots. Your life is going to change. Do you need to do it all the time? You should be in the habit of doing it all the time. No. But to be the Fargo champ, these are the small habits that we need to implement in our wrestling, regardless of what level we're at. All right, so perfect position. Don't forget it. Okay, so finishes. Leg drive is awesome, okay? There are times when if you're finishing up, whether you're driving, leg driving, finishing up, okay? Just remember our leg drive is what we do all the time when we shuffle. This is our leg drive. I can do this. If I'm in on a double and I need to take somebody from southern Indiana to northern Indiana, I can keep my hips under me the whole time and run them there, okay? But when you start doing too much of this, walking or charging, all right, you leave yourself open to get stretched out, okay? So if I'm in on a double, whoop, boom, get the perfect position. I'm coming up head first. It's no different than power cleaning. All right, I don't power clean like this. Hurt yourself. I'm power cleaning head up. All right, same concept. I get into this attack. I'm driving head first, even into my shuffle. Boom, 3's the magic number. All right, I get into my sweep. Get in perfect position. 1, 2, 3. Notice my head came up. It didn't turn, it didn't drop. All right, so make sure that you're finishing correctly. All right, something small, but if you get in a perfect position, most of the people are actually going to fall into your points. But you will have to work for that against higher quality opponents, all right? But get in a perfect position, finish correctly. Now we're about to go to the fun stuff, transition into turns. Transition into turns. Big part of freestyle wrestling, primarily because you can steal points. All right, folk style wrestling, you can transition right to your turns, but you're not necessarily getting two for just exposing their back. Whereas in freestyle and Greco, all you have to do is expose their back and you get points for that. So the common idea when you're going takedown to turn is steal the first one, lock up the second one. Steal the first turn, and then spend time really locking up the second one, okay? That doesn't mean the first one's tight or not tight. You got to make sure it's tight. But you don't have to spend a second or two or three trying to lock up that first turn. Let's steal them. So now let's talk about it, all right? So typically with our kids here, all right, if I'm hitting a leg attack, I want to transition to a lace. If anything from the waist up, I'm going to my gut, okay? So let's take a sweep single, for example, right? So I'm working, fake, get this person to step, hit this sweep single, boom. Let's say I'm finishing down, all right? I'm finishing down. I finish, Boom! I'm in the perfect position for a leg lace. And what do? Like why? All right. We let a potential turn go to jump to another one. But go ahead, go flat. Again, what I want to do is steal this first turn. So as I'm coming around, I'm just going straight to it. Now, I haven't locked anything up, but I've crossed over. I punched elbow deep. I'm starting to go. Now I can start locking this up. But what I don't want to do is spend too much time trying to lock up the first one before I steal it. Steal the first one, and then lock up the second one. Same concept. Let's say I'm hitting my ducks or whatever. Whoop. They start going down. All right, lock it up. Steal the first one. Now I can start working on transitioning to something else if I don't continue that one. Okay? But after every takedown, there is a shock and awe moment. Windows may only be that big, but there is a moment after every takedown to steal the turn. If we go right to it, it's got to be relatively tight, okay? But don't spend a whole bunch of time trying to lock something up. By that time, they've got their wits about them. They're in good position, better position, all right? So make sure you steal the first turn. Lock up the second one. All right, on two. Wasn't anything major, all right? We didn't cover anything too fancy that most of us haven't seen before. But these are the small details that cost us, right? We'll have some of Indiana's best kids go out there on the national level, the higher quality national level. Let's just say Fargo, for example. And our better kids get beat because of these small habits. We don't get beat because Ohio knows this move and New Jersey knows that move and Florida knows this move. We get beat because we are our only competition, all right? We're not competing against everybody else. We're competing against being better versions of ourselves. If you work on these small details, especially this first week, second week, as we start transitioning into freestyle and Greco, we're starting to get not only good habits for freestyle and Greco, but also folk style, all right? So don't neglect this stuff, because I promise you, if you look over some of your old losses, you took an L or we took an L because of these small details. Fix them, and then we can move on to level 2, all right? See you in a few.